You know, some people enjoy composing their own music, chord by chord, and others are happiest when they come across that one perfect song. Work is not a lot different than that. Whether you prefer building your own workflow or using a pre-made template, with Monday.com, you and the team can work in a way that's comfortable for everyone. Tap the banner to go to Monday.com and build your own amazing workflow, or find an awesome template. No judgment.
Welcome to the RuPaul's Drag Race Recap Show for Season 11, Episode 5, titled Monster Ball. My name is Joe Betance, and I am joined, as always, by one horrendous co-host. From the podcast pod is my co-pilot. Please say...
I'm not gagging. I mean, I'm gagging from, like, the smell.
To Taylor... the Latte Boy. Hello, Taylor the Latte Boy. How are you?
Hello, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing very fine. Doing very, very well. We just watched, episode 5 here of RuPaul's Drag Race. And there were 33 looks. You know what that means?
I know. That you were miserable the entire time.
Yes, it means that. But it means we have to get right to the show. No time for funny business.
No time at all.
Well, there is if you pay $3 a month. Okay. All right, let's jump to it. This week, Brooke and Vanjie kiss, and everyone goes, "Aw." Nina and Silky kiss, and everyone goes, "Ew." Raja puts Evie on notice. The girls turn themselves into living dolls and walk the runway 3 different times with 3 different looks in the Monster Ball. In the end, Brooklyn Heights was named the winner of the challenge, while Sugar Cane and Ariel Versace were placed in the bottom 2. After a lip-sync battle for their lives, Sugar was told, "Shantae, you stay," while Ariel was asked to sashay away. Yes. Taylor, name 2 things you liked about the episode and 1 thing you did not.
Well, I love me some looks.
Sure.
I love the look section. So for the fact that this was a show that was pretty look heavy, I mean, at one point somebody said we have 33 looks this week that are going to have on the runway. Which that to me, in my head, I thought this is awesome for me and this is horrible for Joe.
Yeah, did you get the screenshot of a noose sent to your phone?
And for the most part, I think that it was a really strong showing of the looks. So, in that regards, I thought that was pretty good. I liked the whole. I liked Trixie's appearance and the mini challenge. I thought the mini challenge was it was okay, but it was what's the word I'm looking for? It was passable. It was passable for something to do to kind of kill a little bit of time. The one thing that I did not like, and I feel like it's going to be in the first segment that we talk about, is I'm starting to lose patience, love. I don't know what you want to call it, but for Evie.
Oh, really?
I'm feeling like Evie is trying to stir shit for no other reason than just to kind of stir shit. And I don't necessarily care for that.
Well, we can talk about this now, or we can talk. I mean, it's the first segment. I know what you're talking about. Are you talking about the part with her and Raja at the beginning of the show?
Yeah.
Okay, we can talk about. Do you want to talk about it now, or do you want to talk about it at the top of the show?
Talk about it at the top of the show.
Okay, go ahead then.
Oh, I guess we're at the top of the show.
Okay. I meant, you want to talk about it now, or when we talk about the?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, go ahead. Make your point. I interrupted you. Sorry.
No, it's just that I feel like it wasn't really necessary for her to make some comment like that. I get that she introduced herself as, if I see something that I don't like, I'm going to say something about it. I'm not just going to hold my tongue. And I think if it affects you directly, that's one thing.
Yeah. But
Raja kind of talking about having that fear of possibly going home and just sort of expressing her stuff, cliche as it is, and then Raja kind of throwing stuff at her when they already don't necessarily like each other, felt kind of like a bullying move.
And so funny. I didn't take it as a bullying move. I took it as a genuine I don't know why she gets what's so funny is on the Rumor Mill, the Patreon show that we have, this topic actually came up. I think it's actually on the first response too, because I give a clip on the first response where the question has been posed: and obviously you're not subscribing to this, why does Evie get a pass when the vixen, everyone came on the vixen? And so, like, why does Evie get a pass as a shit stirrer, whereas the vixen was, like, you know, lambasted across the social media and the internet for essentially doing the same thing? And it seems like you're saying that they're essentially the same person.
No, there are shades of it. I don't think it's quite as bombastic, and maybe that's why Evie isn't necessarily catching shit yet about that.
Yeah.
Whereas the Raven would kind of throw a grenade and then get
The
mad
vixen.
with
The vixen.
The vixen. Why do I always do that? I always say the Raven. The vixen would kind of throw that grenade and then get mad when you would try to throw the grenade back at her. And it was always where, like, you know, no matter what, you were wrong, and it was where she would just scream and yell until the other person just admitted defeat in her mind. I know that on the coming up next week, it seems like we have another example of that, of where she just sort of says something. You know, we don't have the full details, and, you know, they've been known to kind of have us think one thing, but something else actually happens.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's one of these where this is going to be where everybody comes back in after this elimination. Somebody makes a comment, and then she says something to kind of stir up shit. I don't like that. I've never liked that in a queen. That doesn't do it in a way. The only time that I could think of that I maybe possibly liked a question like that, a thing like that, is Bianca asking, I have a very fair question to ask you. What do you do well? But that seemed more constructive than destructive at this point.
Okay, I'm going to agree and disagree with you. There are moments where Evie has done that. Case in point, remember when the other team was telling RuPaul about Silky and how much she annoyed them? I think it's episode 2.
Yeah.
And then in the dressing room, Evie injected herself in the situation for no reason whatsoever. And that's actually when she and Raja first have their they go at it. And actually, on that case, I actually side with Raja. You know, whereas why was Evie? For those of you who don't remember, you know, Ariel fesses up to talking shit about Silky, and then Evie comes down on the rest of the team for not saying anything, and then Raja says, you know, don't put words in our mouths. You don't know what was said, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Turns into a fight. Okay. In that case, I think you're right. In this case, though, how is what she said different from what Bianca said when you said, I'm going to ask you a fair question, what do you do well? Because essentially, Evie was asking the same question. What Raja said was, well, you know, essentially along the line, I'm paraphrasing completely, and I'm probably taking some liberties here, but essentially along the lines of, well, it doesn't matter how I do in the challenge. I'll lip sync the boots the house down, yes, mama God, you know, and I'll just send everyone home, which, by the way, I don't remember her lip sync being all that great. But anyway.
No, that's not a good strategy long term.
No, especially not with her. I could see if it was like, you know, Coco Montrese or Kennedy or something like that, but not her. So
one of those.
Or Peppermint, yeah. But anyway, she said it, and I think Evie's question was, why don't you, that's what she said directly, she said, why don't you, because Raja says, I can lip sync the house down, right? And Evie's like, well, why don't you bring that same energy then to the challenge, then you don't have to lip sync? How is that an unfair question? How is that bullying?
Because it
tell me, like Taylor, tell me.
She was punching down at that point. Raja had just almost gotten eliminated, in theory, because they got all the, you know, the Muslim storyline out, so we all know who was really going home. But in the moment, it felt like she was really going home. And for her to kind of, maybe she was sort of talking herself up a little bit. And then for her to immediately go to that question. Whereas when it was asked in Untucked, when Bianca asked Trinity about it, there was just a conversation going on. Nobody was sure who was lip syncing. Nobody was sure who almost got eliminated at that point. And it was where there was a dialogue going on where it felt more like Raja was just sort of talking at that point and just kind of talking things out. So for her to throw that in, I just didn't like it. It just was a moment I didn't like.
After Mercedes' elimination, the girls return to the workroom to de-drag. Scarlet Envy basks in the glory of a compliment from RuPaul. The girls press Brooke and Vanessa about their budding romance, and Evie and Raja go at each other's throats once again. Taylor, what were your thoughts on Evie and Raja going after each other?
I loved it. I lived for it. Everything about it was drama, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, okay, but let's move on to the other thing. What about Scarlet Envy going like, at any time RuPaul just kind of looks at Scarlet, she's like, yeah, RuPaul looked at me.
I think that on the one hand, there was the possibility for some delusional thoughts there. However, the fact that they brought up the fact that Ru said to her, she said, "Great job on casting," which it was really good casting this week. I think that she should have gotten credit for that. And I think basking in that, where, Ru said something about my casting, I think that's great. And she should get accolades for that. That being said, where there was the perception from the other girls of that, I am responsible for all of your wins kind of thing, that didn't necessarily feel right. And that there's a little bit of delusion there.
All right, very good. I think she completely, and why does every confessional she have, it seems like a villain talking? It always seems like it's, and I'm going to crush the competition. And I'm like, well, go ahead.
Let's think about this. Is there a villain this season?
Well, look, I think for some reason you and I save these conversations for the very end when I want to go, but that's one of the big things, and I guess we can kind of have this conversation here, is I'll be honest with you. I feel we've talked about this in previous, what other season did we say was a beige season? I feel like we've said that before. But
was it? Yeah, we talked about beige seasons before. 10?
No. Well, if I take everything back then, because this cast is beige
9.
Squared.
Jordan Darling says season 9 was very beige.
Okay. Well, then I take it back, because this cast is beige.
Taupe.
Yes. This is like eggshell white.
Eggshell. Ecru.
Yeah. This season, it's like, I think the problem, I feel in previous seasons, I'm talking post season 7. Anything post season 7, there were always at least some queens who hadn't gotten the memo, and that made it entertaining. And it feels like this season, every girl has gotten the memo. Silky didn't get it the first couple episodes, but she's since gotten it.
Yeah. No, it's funny. Okay, go ahead, because I have
just to finish my
too.
thought. And so everybody plays it super safe.
Yes.
I mean, to the point where the producers and the editors feel like the Eye of Sauron, where they're just looking for some sort of drama. And that's why I have it in my notes here to talk about at some point. These fucking producers are pushing this Brangie storyline like nobody's business, because I think there's nothing else for them to talk about.
They're thanking God that this is going on, because even Silky's mellowed out a little bit too. So what they had, and that we were fearful was going to be the rest of the season. Let's talk about just kind of how summing up the first, because really the first third of the season at this point is done. Yeah, the first 5 girls are gone. Let's.
What the hell was that noise? What was that?
That was my husband sneezing.
Oh, okay. I thought there was a velociraptor in your house. I was like, run.
There is. I'm married to it, and he's apparently got hay fever.
Okay.
Hey, fever.
Achoo.
Now I'm distracted by my husband sneezing. I have thoughts. My supervisor at work has thoughts about it too, because she watched last night's episode, and we'll talk about that.
Well,
later.
Taylor, I have breaking news for you. This is the show where we share our thoughts.
I know, but I know that
Just do it here, because then it's gonna be the looks, and we're done.
Okay, so last night, as my boss was leaving work, I made reference to, because I thought I was going to have to work later than usual, and I said, but I got to get home because I tape a podcast about Drag Race, and I got to. So she was like, okay. So she comes in this morning and she goes, I watched Drag Race last night. And I said, oh, really? And she said, yeah. And she goes, I hadn't seen any since the first episode. She goes,
of the whole series?
No, of this season.
Okay.
This season, she said, I watched the first episode, and she goes, and I wasn't really all about it, because I wasn't all about she said the fat one, and I laughed, and I said Silky, and she said, yeah. And I said, well, what did you think? And she kind of went, and I said, that's kind of what everybody is saying about the season, is it's very much of There's no storyline at all. I think that might be why I enjoyed this episode as much as I did, because it wasn't about storyline. It was just about them showing looks and presenting. And in that regards, I was all about it. I think that they, as I've said before, season 12, they're going to have to do something completely different and completely new to set these girls to where they don't know what the hell's going on. And that's the only way they're going to get some real drama out of this. The format is it's stale. The format is stale at this point. Remember how all of the girls walked in the beginning of All Stars 2 and they thought they knew what was happening. And then when Ru says, who's your sisters in drag now? You all are going to be the ones to vote. And how that fucked with all of them. They need something like that where it fucks with all of them. I think Ru tried it with the 6-person lip sync to try to mix things up. And then that was just a huge train wreck. They're going to have to do something because these girls are going to get more and more and more aware. You know that some of them are thinking, I just have to get to 2 more and then I'm on match game.
Yeah. Snatch game.
Snatch game. Sorry. Or they just are just sort of aware at this point that I can write my own ticket the longer I go, but I don't have to go to the top spot. You don't have people that look like they're hungry for it. Ru, at this point, I was noticing she looks bored, which this is really kind of the first time that I've seen her where, especially on the main stage, where she looks like I already know who my top 6 are going to be, so I just have to ride out the next 4 so that I can slowly pick off the ones that don't fit the narrative. It's clear who she likes. It's clear who she doesn't know who they are yet, and we're just kind of waiting the moment down. She looks mad watching some of these lip syncs too. Like, I feel like we're going to get another, I don't want to hear any more goddamn excuses anymore, because she like the everything has just been subpar. Safe is a very good word to describe this cast, and I'm not all about it.
So there are a couple of rumors that are not spoilers because they have to do with things that happen off the air and nothing to do with results. Okay. One of them has to do with what we're talking about. Another one has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I'll say both. The one that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, and I think we see evidence today, is that this was an old rumor, but that this season was actually supposed to premiere in the fall. Now, remember this season taped in early May, started taping like in mid-May. Okay?
Yeah.
So the rumor, I think, was based on the fact that they taped so early because they were hoping to premiere it in the fall. And there was no basis to it. Obviously, it premiered now. But the fact that there was a Halloween challenge would sort of lend credence to it.
Yeah, I thought that was confusing that there were so many Halloween references. But
yeah, and then so I think maybe it was going to be in the fall, and now here we are. 1, 2. So I think I've talked about this in a previous episode, but I'll say it again. There is a rumor that at some point the producers sat the girls down and said, do you want to be the next season 7? Because right now the season you're giving us is season 7. That it is off camera.
Yeah.
So that they had to step their pussies up because they were being boring. I kind of hope that rumor is true because from what we're seeing right now, they're just playing it so fucking safe. Apart from a few moments, Untucked is boring, which is really a bad sign because usually up until Snatch Game, Untucked is the more interesting part of the show. Right. Because there's so many girls and they're trying to get their camera time. And it just seems like they're all trying to play it safe because now, you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is now, it used to be what you saw from season 7 to like season 9 or 10. Okay, were girls who they just needed to get to like after Snatch Game and then they're good, their quote goes up, yada, yada, yada. Now we're in a postmodern era where they realize, oh shit, now I have to get on All Stars.
Yeah,
but
that's a good point.
But they're not, so they have to go, not only do I have to get to the past Snatch Game, now I have to think long term, and am I going to be good on All Stars? What's funny though is in doing so, they're self-defeating. They're being self-defeating because they're being so vanilla that it's a whole cast of Cameron Michaels. And they're just all trying to play it so fucking safe because they don't want to get in the bad side of any producer, or I don't know what it is. And they want to be on All Stars. And so, I don't know. Meanwhile, if Silky, in other words, I'm saying, I don't know where Silky goes. Okay. But if Silky doesn't go very far, or maybe she goes far, who knows? In other words, if she does anything but win, if Silky does anything but win the whole thing, she's guaranteed to be on All Stars.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
No, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that.
But what do you think? And let's talk about this now, and then we'll jump to the next part. Is what do you think about the pushing of the Brooke and Vanjie romance? Don't you think that's, to me, that's an Elimination Day storyline among many. We're done, the end of story. But it seems like every fucking week, every fucking segment, we're seeing them kiss. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that again, they're playing it safe. They're not so much that they're playing it safe. Let me rephrase that. Mm-hmm. It's that they're not giving them a whole lot to work with. So it turns into this where one of the queens asks them what's going on, and then they just have shots of them looking back and forth at each other and kind of doing the, shrug, and we're just seeing where it goes. Everything's just fine. We're just having fun, and we're just seeing where it goes. And it feels like that's happened 3 weeks in a row, where there isn't any sort of development to it. There isn't anything, with the exception of Brooklyn kind of trying to get Vanjie's attention at one point. She's making a costume, and Vanjie kind of looking down like, I don't care how good the dick is. I got to focus on my outfits for the thing, and seem very determined, which leads me to wonder, is Brooke playing some sort of game? Is this a situation which Brooke is realizing I can get airtime if I start, kai-kaiing with one of the queens? So, and I'm going to, who's the biggest name at this point out of all the queens there, with the possible exception of Nina West, where a lot of them knew who Nina was. The only other one that everybody knew was Vanjie. So while I'm not saying there wasn't a genuine appreciation for each other, this may be a situation where this is, we're doing this for the camera kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't disagree with you, because it seems like Brooke is always, I don't want to say aggressor, but the more assertive one, always pushing the PDA. And you're right, Vanessa always seems to be like, I'll comply, but like, this is, I'm here to do a job. Yeah. I think Vanessa truly would have kept it under wraps.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be hard to keep it under wraps. It really wouldn't. I don't know why, but it's because Brooke is, claiming her territory. She's like a dog pissing on a wall to mark her spot. Yeah. Not necessarily to like all the girls want to get with Vanjie, but I think more like, look, bitches, I'm not only am I slaying the competition, I'm banging the famous person here in the cast.
Well, yeah, and I think that she's a pageant queen. Pageant queens are notoriously cutthroat as far as getting what they need to get to the top. And I think this is, and for them right now, not only is the top the crown, but I think it's also airtime.
Yeah.
No, and right. She's not going to scream and yell like Silky does, but she's going to do what she needs to get airtime. And this is a surefire way to occasionally smooch on the biggest name on there. She's guaranteed to have a camera up in her face every once in a while, and people talking about her.
All right. The next day, the girls label Brooke and Vanjie as Brangie, Silky, and Nina kiss, and everyone in the workroom loses their minds. And then RuPaul enters the workroom to announce this week's mini challenge.
I say one thing?
Sure.
Can I say one thing? A funny thing in the chat room.
Yeah.
David McKee writes, spoiler, Brooke eliminates Vanjie in All Stars 5.
Oh. True.
That's all. Made me laugh. Made me chuckle.
And it's David Mackey. Okay. All right. The mini challenge. The girls are given the task of transforming themselves into living dolls, vying for the chance to be the BFF of the RuPaul doll. Trixie Mattel drops by to visit the girls in the workroom and to stand next to RuPaul as the girls pose to deliver her classic Trixie Mattel witticisms. After all was said and done, Raja was named the winner of the mini challenge. Too much coffee. Next, RuPaul announced this week's Maxi Challenge. They're having a monster ball. The girls will walk the runway in 3 separate looks: Trampy Trick or Treater, Witch Please, and MILF, Monster I'd Like to Freak. Taylor, I have a couple of things I want to talk to you about here, and let's have these discussions. First of all, what were your thoughts? Because, the Silky and Nina kiss was in the first look this week. you know? And I talked about this on the first response. I want to get your thoughts. But there were not a lot, but there were some people who were grossed out when they saw Silky and Nina kissing, because obviously it's like they're not like little thin wafy things kissing. What are your thoughts on seeing them kiss?
It was cute. It was a silly little kiss between friends. I don't think either of them were shoving each other's. I mean, there was the joke where they were like, looked like they were going to touch tongues and stuff, but it was an attempt at humor. It was an attempt at just being silly. I didn't see a problem with it. I thought it was a cute moment.
Now, there's a listener named Travis Williams who has a little bit of a crush on you. Would your husband Bob Alou, would he have a problem with you doing the same kind of kiss with Travis Williams?
I don't know. I think if it's a joking kiss on the lips, I think that would be fine. Anything that had a little bit of intention in it, there may be an issue. You
know what's funny? If you watch the episode closely, you know, Nina and Silky have this silly kiss, but Akuria several times throughout the show, very sentimentally, I'll say, you know, with a lot of feeling, kisses Silky a lot. But on like the shoulder or on the neck or something like that. But Akuria is constantly kissing Silky. But they never really highlight that.
I haven't noticed that.
Yeah. Watch it back. I've watched the episode twice. I've noticed it. It's very quick, and you just see it in a passing moment. Okay, what did you think of the mini challenge? What did you think of Trixie Mattel dropping in Taylor?
I like that they are trying very hard to at least have one queen show up each episode. And Trixie coming in, Trixie is definitely a fan favorite. Kind of sitting around and playing around with the queens, I thought was nice. It seemed very playful, seemed very fun. Like I said, I kind of liked the challenge, though I thought of something else of the two things I like, one thing I didn't, one thing that I like more, but we'll talk about it later. You know, I did like the "What's your name, Scarlet?" Yeah, I already forgot. That made me laugh. And I like to see that the queens are coming back and they're kind of welcoming this new group of sisters into the fold, into the family. So if they continue doing things like that, I'll be okay with that.
So let me ask you this question, because it's a genuine question for me. You have this Trixie Mattel. She comes in. Obviously, it makes sense to have her there for a Barbie doll or a doll challenge, living doll challenge, right? Trixie Mattel. Her name's Trixie Mattel.
Yeah.
But you're having a monster ball, and you don't have Sharon Needles on? By the way, Sharon Needles has commented about this on Twitter. You know, something along the lines of, having a monster ball, of course you'd want an over, makeup Barbie doll to be there or something like that. Like, in other words, they didn't ask Sharon to be on the show. Even wouldn't you have her in there to walk through the workroom? I mean, she is the famous, queen of this. This is her gig.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. I think that might be something fun to watch, as far as that could add drama and add a different level to this, where doing a walkthrough rather than have RuPaul walk through and be seemingly bored, have somebody like for a monster ball, Sharon Needles walk through and ask people, what are you working on? What are you thinking about? That kind of stuff. Because also there's not that, while there is a level of, oh my God, this is Sharon Needles in front of me, it's not the same level as RuPaul. And if Sharon disagrees with, for example, when Brooke came up with the first runner-up sort of thing, there may be a little bit more of a chance of some drama there, and there may be a little more of, well, that might be the way you did it on your season, but not the way I'm doing it. Yeah. Sort of thing. Whereas I think that they're so stupefied by RuPaul and they're so scared, again, wanting to play it safe, so all RuPaul has to do is cock an eyebrow and then they completely change what they're doing. That may be something interesting to do. I would have loved to have seen Sharon there.
Look, I've made this point before and I'll make it again. I think RuPaul shouldn't do table visits anymore. I think it should be Ross. I think Ross Matthews should do the table. Ross Matthews should become the Tim Gunn of the show.
I would say Michelle.
No.
Okay. Why do you think Ross?
Because Michelle's just fucking a see you next Tuesday for no apparent reason. Like, I don't know. I've seen Michelle in the workroom, and maybe she would work past this, but it's almost akin to what we've said about Lucian or Todrick, where there seems like they're laying it on thick. Like they want to be the Simon Cowell. Where I feel, She'll go the Simon Cowell route, and I want Ross. I want the Tim Gunn. I want the gentle prodding, understanding, giving opinion kind of thing. I think Ross or Carson. They could interchange the weeks that they're on.
I think Carson would be better than Ross. Ross strikes me as when he gives critiques on the runway, Ross is very much about the character, the story. One thing that I've heard him say to multiple queens over the seasons is, "I fell in love with you," or "I want to get to know you more. I want to know who the real you is." Whereas I don't know that Ross has the background to necessarily say what works as far as a look, or what works as far as fashion goes. Carson comes from a fashion background. So really, of anybody, Carson is the one that you would want in there, because Carson wouldn't necessarily be bitchy, but Carson could be sassy about it. And so I think, you saying Carson that makes more sense to me. But I also think that maybe having the occasional Carson and one of the former contestants on, I think, would be a good way to mix things up.
It's not a bad idea, because it's a great way to bring old queens back, popular queens, and work them into the show without it being sort of shoehorned in.
Yeah.
I'd rather see Trixie in the workroom than I think in a mini challenge where she just said her dumb jokes. All right.
Yeah.
In the workroom, Silky thinks about her look while telling us that there's a little clique she's a part of called the Dream Girls that consists of Silky, Akuria, and Vanjie. Though Silky is struggling, she doesn't care because she'll just lip sync and be fine. Meanwhile, Brooke and Vanjie are cuddly, but in the confessional, Vanjie states that she isn't going to let a man get between her and the crown. Next, RuPaul dropped by to pay some table visits with the girls as they worked on their outfits. Nina West gets a Murder, She Wrote fact wrong. Sugar Cane left a 6-figure job to do drag. Brooke fails to impress RuPaul with her idea for a look. RuPaul wonders if Plastique can do more than stunt pretty. And Evie oddly reveals the origin of her name. Taylor, your thoughts on the table visits, your thoughts on everything in the workroom. What's going on with you?
That whole description felt like a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, there really wasn't much. I have a couple.
There wasn't. It just seemed like a lot. It seemed like a lot of what we've seen before. Ru walks over, says, "Hi, Plastique." She goes, "Hi, Mama Ru. This is what I'm planning on working on." And she goes, "Yeah, well, you're kind of a pretty girl, but you haven't really given us anything to work with." Cocks an eyebrow, and then tries to get Plastique or Brooke or whoever it is to kind of shake in their boots, and then just sort of, "Well, I'm looking forward to what you show me," and then turns around and walks away. It's just a lot of now you've got me really thinking about this whole Carson idea. I really like that idea of having it be Carson instead of Ru.
Anyway, I was thinking about Sugar Cane. I'm like, all right, we're going to sit here and watch Taylor think. Everyone should know he really did look up at the ceiling and then really have this pensive look on his face. I was like, oh, he really was thinking about it. I know he really had his chin to his fingertips. It was really odd. He was rubbing his beard and you could almost see the thought bubbles coming out of his head. And then I saw a little cloudy image of Carson walking through the workroom. Anyway, I wanted to talk, what was really funny, what really kind of stuck with me was Sugar Cane, even though it was a whole lot of nothing. Sugar Cane being, a woman of a certain age, a Latinx person of a certain age who gave up a big career to pursue what she loved. And I can totally relate. I was probably around the same age when I owned a successful test prep business, and I was like, this is not what I love to do. This is not what I like to do. And I left it to pursue podcasting. What's so funny, I didn't think professionally at the time. I had a film in development, but what it has evolved over to this past year is now I'm a professional podcaster / philanthropist. But I'm finally doing what I love. So I can totally understand having this, I guess, maybe it's the new wave midlife crisis where it's not getting a Ferrari and it's not banging a hot young thing. It is about finally going, you know what? Fuck this rat race. I'm going to do what I want to do. What are your thoughts on that? Are you seeing more and more of that in your world?
Well, I see that in my world in that I am a licensed clinical therapist and I could start a private practice someplace. I could see clients and charge, $150 an hour if I wanted to, that kind of stuff. But I have found that over the years that I tend to work in jobs that don't pay as much, but they are more enjoyable to me. I love what I do for a living. I've been very fortunate and very blessed that I have always done something since I got out of school that now there are days that I want to, beat my head against my steering wheel when I get in it. But for the most part, I feel like I'm making a difference. I feel like it allows me an opportunity to be creative, which I enjoy, and to be compassionate, which I like being, and to use my skills in a way that works for me and feels good for me. So when Sugar was talking about that, to walk away from a 6-figure job to do something that she really kind of loves and found her passion, it made me happy for her. Sugar is one of those people that I did not necessarily care for at the beginning of the season, but the more I see her, the more I really like her. I was kind of lukewarm on her when she first came in, and I appreciate her more as with each passing episode. So
I just realized last week for the orange runway, she put on made fun of Donald Trump for having an orange fake tan. And I was like, has this bitch looked in the mirror?
Well, but you also figure if she's Latina and Native American, there's, she may not need a fake tan, but she may just tan super easily.
And the big white chiclets.
God.
Those big white chiclets in her mouth.
Well, that says nothing to her dentistry. But I mean, as somebody who is Italian and Greek, I lay out in the sun for more than a couple hours, and I am rich Corinthian leather by the end of the day.
Taylor, once again, I look at my face right here. Look at this is, and I don't even go in the sun. And then look at my chest. Look at the difference between my chest and my face.
Mm-hmm.
My face, I look like General Santa Anna. And then my chest looks like Scarlet Envy.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's the joy of being from a central, not Central American. I was going to, because Italy and Greece, but equator close nationality. Equator close, equa close.
All right, very good. I'm going to move on and just ignore that you just said that. Back in the workroom, the other girls clock Ariel's basic mermaid outfit. Brooke wraps a snake around her head, and Scarlett gets some side-eye as she walks around the workroom in her Creature from the Black Lagoon couture. It's Elimination Day, and we learn that Evie loves Halloween. Big revelation.
Wow.
Raja started doing Dragon Halloween. The girls shade Plastique by wondering if she even has any makeup skills, and Silky shocks the audience by being extra. Taylor, you kind of those were the two segments, because it was all about the looks this week. It was all about the looks, and I think there's just really not much to, which is so funny because online I saw someone go "Oh, finally we got some stuff in the workroom." I'm like, what did you get? Silky walking around saying, bring it to the runway, Charmin to the runway. Anyway,
that was kind of a funny moment.
It was funny, but honestly, of that whole two segments there, that was the highlight.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, all right, if you enjoy this show, you might want to think about supporting it to help us keep the lights on. How can you do this? Support us over at patreon.com. There, if you sign up at the $3 Eat It level, you receive a brand new podcast in your own personal feed 6 out of 7 days of the week. On top of that, you get access to live recordings and bonus content. For instance, this episode you're listening to now is actually about 20 minutes longer for our Patreon supporters. Guys, and you guys missed... It was the most rando 20 minutes. There was some tea about Trixie Mattel. And what else did we talk about? It was Taylor. It was 20
our
minutes.
Assholes.
Oh, yeah. Taylor told me the color of my asshole. I won't tell you how he figured it out. And it was a wild ride. I put the Mr. Toad in Mr. Toad's Wild Ride there. Anyway, what am I reading here? Oh, not only that, they get the episode commercial free. So do you sometimes. It depends on when the ad people decide to put ads. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to patreon.com/Drag Race Recap and sign up at the $3 level. That's right. Just head on over to patreon.com/Drag Race Recap. All right. We'll be back right after this.
This is Amy Poehler. My new movie, Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, is coming to theaters June 14th, and it's making me feel joy and sadness and anger, definitely some disgust, Rose, and I think a little fear. But I'm also feeling these new emotions like anxiety, embarrassment, envy, and ennui.
It's what you call the boredom.
Okay, that one was weird. It's gonna be the feel everything movie of the summer. Disney and Pixar's Inside Out 2, rated PG, parental guidance suggested. Only in theaters June 14th. Get tickets now.
All right, Taylor, it's time now for... What happened?
You're also like, in 3, 2. All right, Taylor. Scared the shit out of me.
It's time for the looks.
Ooh, we're doing spooky music this week.
Yeah. Oh, look.
All right.
We have to be on brand.
All right, so I have a question.
Yeah.
There were 33 looks this week.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, I'm never going to get you to talk about all 33 looks.
Mm-hmm.
But on the Reddit page that you sent me, they're all over the place as far as the most popular looks versus the least popular. Are we going to go by queen and just kind of scroll through real fast? Or do you want to just talk about the looks you liked versus the looks you didn't? We're going to talk generally about each of the top and bottom queens. How would you like to do this? I want to make this as easy for you as possible.
Here's what I'll say. First of all, I don't know the answer. I would say, because here's what's interesting. I don't know if I mentioned this during the show or before the show, is I'd read online that people did not agree with the judging of this show. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I did was when I rewatched the episode, I made a chart for each look with each queen, and I gave them a point value score, and I tried as much as possible to forget where they placed after the episode and whatnot. I just gave them a number based on, did they meet the challenge, did they meet the criteria, and how does it look, the aesthetics. And I gave it a number, gut reaction number.
Okay.
So what's funny is, I'll tell you this at the top right now. My numbers for them on some level do not agree with the judges. Which means there are some queens who are in the top who I already would have put in the middle. There's a queen who I would have put actually towards the bottom, who would end up being on top. And I also probably would have put some, vice versa. They're all kind of all over the place. Okay. So, let me tell you how so I gave points for each one, and we can discuss each point if you want. But what's funny is, do you have off the top of your head queens that you would have put on the top? Or did you agree with the judges?
I'm trying to think who was in I did not agree with the judges for one of the three. I think I did not understand the love and craziness that they had for Evie's looks.
Yeah, so just for everyone, if you don't remember, Brooke, Lynn Heights, Evie Oddly, and Plastique Tiara were in the top.
Yes.
But you wouldn't have put Evie there.
I did not get the whole dinosaur thing, why they all thought that was so amazing, when she pretty much said it's a little kid's dinosaur costume that she just kind of cut holes in. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember what I didn't like. The voodoo look. Mm-hmm. I did like the witch look, though. The witch look, but the witch look was more about from the neck up. I loved the crooked witch hat. I loved the white wig, and also I loved the white contact lens. Mm-hmm. That was very beautiful from the head up, but the head down was sort of like, okay, I feel like we've seen that before.
Oh, so I think we figured it out then. Why don't we do this? Because I hate the looks. Why don't we go through my tops and my bottoms? Yeah, we will. And then if you have people you want to throw in there, you throw in.
Okay.
Okay, so let me tell you who my tops were.
Okay.
Tied for top. And this, by the way, I want everyone to know, I did this so honestly that when I did the totals, I was surprised. I was like, whoa, these people were the tops? Okay, right? I was shocked. All right. My top three, well, the tie for top. The tie for...
Did you, wait, real quick. Did you do like rate them on a 1 to 5, 1 to 10?
1 to 10.
1 to 10. Okay.
In fact, I'll even go in. So the tie for the top spot, this is shocking to me. Scarlet Envy and Nina West. Scarlet Envy, for her trampy trick-or-treater, she got an 8 from me. I really liked it. Okay.
And she was the... for Trampy Trick or Treat, what was she?
I don't know. Anyway, for witch, she got 7, and for MILF, she got an 8. She got 8s and 7s across the board with a total score of 23.
I liked the MILF look. I definitely liked the MILF look with the which I didn't think I was gonna like, but when she added the collar and she did something where you could actually see her face, I would have liked for her to do something with hair. Yeah. Even if it was like a short wet look or something to go with the idea of what they were doing, I would Sexy Pirate. Haley's mom said Sexy Pirate, which I liked the pirate.
Yeah.
I did like the pirate, especially because she's going for the Sexy Pirate sort of thing. Yeah. Very Gasparilla, which is something that's here in Tampa that's all actual MILFs, the Real Housewives of Tampa Bay all walk around like sexy pirates in February.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying though is this Scarlet, I didn't realize it when I watched it the first time. She really impressed me. Each look, they met the criteria of the challenge, and it was aesthetically pleasing. Same thing with Nina West. The only one that the one reason Nina didn't get 8s across the board for me were because on her Trampy Trick or Treater, I didn't feel that as much as I loved the Little Shop of Horrors costume.
Yeah,
I didn't feel as trampy. I would have loved to have given it an 8 or a 9, but it just felt like campy. It wasn't campy Trick or Treater; it was trampy Trick or Treater, and it didn't feel as trampy. So
I can see that.
I knocked it off a point and gave her a 7. So she tied at 23. But I was really I loved the idea and the sort of taking a step beyond of the Salem witch trial outfit for the witches.
Yes, I've seen some controversy online about that, and that the appliques at the bottom looked a little crafty. Mm-hmm. So I think if she had done something where that could have been maybe done where the skirt was actually more like different, like fire colored sequins that kind of went into the dress, and maybe even something where she had a pole behind her attached to her back, so it looked like she was actually standing next to a stake. That would have sent it over the top. That would have told the whole story. Yeah. But the actual applique, similar to that whole lion thing that she did the one week, it looks a little arts and crafts third grade teacher to me.
And then in the MILF look, I loved she did the plastic face thing. I thought that was really cool, and I thought that was really I gave it an 8. So yeah, so Scarlet, and then the next one, well, there's a tie here. There's 4 here, a tie for third, I guess. Okay. Which is Akuria Davenport and Vanessa Vanjie Mateo. They each had 21. Scarlina had 23, and Akuria and Vanjie had 21 each. Vanjie, I think, would have been higher, but it's sort of the same problem with Plastique, who was just under at 20, in that it's just we're seeing the same look, but they're accomplishing it, but it's a lot of times the same look. Like the MILF, she got a kind of a low score. She got a 6 for me because the neck up, I loved that headpiece.
Yeah.
But the neck down, I was like, okay, whatever.
You made reference on a previous show where when Michelle commented that she's wearing the same thing, that she had a panic look on her face because that's all she brought for runways.
Yeah.
And that went through my head with all of these where I'm like, oh my God, it is the thing where she's wearing the corset with a little bit of glitter. I agree with you. The MILF look with which on the runway, it kind of came off as this blue-green kind of and you'll get the reference to this as many, but the Haunted Mansion color that they use, that like aquamarine sort of, whereas on Untucked, it was like neon green. But I loved both of them, and I loved the headdress. The angel look to me, the wings looked cheap, because all I kept thinking is comparing it to Courtney Axe when she wore the wings for the animal challenge, and how amazing that looks compared to this. It looked very crafty to me. I don't remember her witch look.
Which look?
The Vanjie's witch look.
Which look?
The look that she was a witch.
Who's on first?
Oh, I love you so much. Okay. And who was the other one you said?
Akuria Davenport. I think totally underrated. I was thinking about that. I didn't like her MILF look as much, but her trampy trick-or-treater and her witch look, great. Fantastic. The trampy trick-or-treater was the one where she was like the poker girl with the poker table.
Okay, yeah.
Like
that was all right. That felt costume. That felt very costume to me, which I also get it's a Halloween challenge, so a lot of them came off as sort of costume.
Oh, the Halloween challenge one came off as costumey. Taylor, tell me more about this.
That's what it felt. That one felt more Party City to me than some of the other looks did.
And then her witch look, I just remember being, the witch one was the one that had like the black horns, and it was like it was sort of Maleficent.
Yeah, it had the branch with the crow sitting on it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? I didn't like the MILF one as much. That wasn't one with the big spider on her.
Yeah, that one wasn't great. The problem is, and I heard Willem say this before, that you really shouldn't wear black on the runway because the TV does not pick up all of the details to it. Mm-hmm. It was very hard to figure out if those things coming out of her back were branches or if they were horns or if they're supposed to be bones or anything. And if it wasn't for Rue and Michelle and all them making jokes about it, you couldn't have necessarily known that. Plus, her hair, she was wearing a long wig, but you couldn't. There was so much going on that you couldn't. The details got lost in it. So that's why when you said Akira, I had to think for a second, like which outfit was she?
Okay, now let's talk about my bottoms.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
Aiden Dean,
he's a top. So anyway, Sugar Cane obviously came out. There was a tie for the bottom. Okay.
Yeah.
So Sugar Cane, but you know who tied for the bottom with her?
Who?
Silky Nutmeg Ganache.
Silky should have lip synced.
Silky.
The only reason that Ariel should have not been was the first outfit, while they talked about the construction of it, with all of the syringes coming out of the shoulder pads and everything. That was kind of an awesome look.
Mm-hmm. And her witch look wasn't bad. Her witch look wasn't. They came down and they're like, "Oh, you're bringing couture," and then it's like Victorian. People do that shit all the time.
Right.
That's fucking half the Boulay Brothers shit.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I liked when they kept talking about saloon girl. Well, there could have been a saloon girl witch.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So her first two looks were great, but Ariel was pretty much was in the bottom because that last look had nothing to do with the challenge at all.
Yeah.
It was a mermaid.
Yeah.
She what's funny is she should have switched it. She should have kind of switched it. She should have made the mermaid the trampy trick-or-treater, slutted it up, and done that first look, maybe put some monster makeup on or something, and then done the syringe one for the MILF.
Yeah. Yeah, that probably would have saved her.
Yeah, that probably would have. She would have just been safe. It just didn't fit the
Sugarcane was bad. Everything about Sugarcane was bad. The whole weird troll doll,
that was awful.
That as soon as she came out, I said, "Well, we know at least one of the ones that's in the bottom."
But you know what's so funny is the witch one wasn't bad.
I don't remember the witch one.
The witch one, she was which one? No, anyway,
oh my god,
the witch one was the one where she didn't do a sexy witch at all. She's probably one of the few that didn't do a sexy witch.
Was like kind of like the bloody where she was covered it. Okay, yeah, that was like a scary costume. That one was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So I think though, when compared to others, I think when a lot of them were going for sexy witch, maybe that's why she didn't necessarily stand out. And Silky with the weird unicorn thing that you couldn't tell it was a unicorn except for the horn. And the fact that they said, "Oh, it's a unicorn."
Is that what it was? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, she was supposed to be a sexy unicorn.
I didn't watch the judges' critiques this time around. Here's the other thing, too. I want to bring up two comparisons. Is Brooke, who should have just been safe. I don't know why Brooke was in the top there. According to my numbers, Brooke had a 17, which is very safe on this, right? Mm-hmm. But when she did that one, Cara Delevingne did the Suicide Squad, I looked up that character, the Enchantress, and you could totally see the inspiration. Like, fantastic job on that. Then I looked up, because Silky was hearkening back to the witch from the Evil Inn from the Wiz.
Yeah.
Right? It was like a shitty Party City version of that.
Yeah.
If Silky actually would have pulled it off, it would have been amazing.
If Silky had actually... Okay, yeah, because they actually showed at one point pictures from The Wiz, and when she came out, I knew exactly who she was. Because The Wiz is one of my all-time favorite movies as a young gay boy in South Jersey. So,
by the way, I remember I taught at this really like ritzy all-white school, and some of the kids were like, "We couldn't come to class today. We're in a musical." I'm like, "What musical?" Like The Wiz. I'm like, "You're all white." I'm like, "That's just called The Wizard of Oz." But whatever, go ahead.
But if she had done more as far as just the costume just looked super cheap. It looked like it was shoddily put together. If she had done more to kind of accentuate, especially around her hair and stuff, that could have been a winning look. That could have at the very least been a top. That could have maybe pushed her. Well, maybe not, because the other two looks were shitty. But that could have been an amazing look.
Okay, so those are the looks I had to talk about. Those are my tops of my bottom. So in my by the numbers, it should have been Sugarcane versus Silky Ganache in the bottom two.
I would agree with that.
Ariel should not have been there. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Is there anybody that I didn't mention that you want to talk about? And it better not be fucking 6 other queens.
No, because you talked about Nina, which, I love me some Nina West. I thought Plastique looked so pretty as the MILF. I thought it was a great look. And even the Maleficent felt a little on the nose, as did the Playboy Bunny. But I'm amazed at just how fish Plastique is, where she looks like a bio girl, and she's beautiful to look at. But I thought that the makeup with the kind of skull coming through on the mouth was incredible. And for them all giving her grief that she doesn't really, she kind of does the same look or whatever, she looked very stunning. The reason Plastique won that was not so much about the looks as much as it was the story she told through her movement. Mm-hmm. That it really was about, when she came out on point and when she did the very dramatic dance moves as far as when she was the Enchantress, and the very slow, methodical walk as I guess you'd almost call her like a Black Widow, or, she's not really a snake woman. She just happened to have a snake wrapped around her. Mm-hmm. That's why she won against Plastique. Because I think Plastique's looks were better, but she just kind of came out, showed what she had, and then went back. Whereas Brooke's looks told a story.
Okay. It's one of the same things I would say with Ariel. It's the same thing with Vanjie. Yes, Plastique's very fishy, but essentially it's always just a one-piece bathing suit or bodysuit or whatever. I don't know what you call things. In different forms. That's what the Playboy Bunny was. That's what her other two looks were. It's the same silhouette every single time from Plastique.
Okay. I agree with you on that. And I was looking at it more from a full experience, in that the makeup was striking to me. Mm-hmm. More so in this week than maybe in other weeks. So that'll eventually come back to bite her in the ass. It has to. So we'll just see. But for this week, especially with it kind of being costumes, I'll give this week a pass, because a lot of costumes, like Halloween costumes, start off with a bodysuit and you build on top of that. But if she keeps doing this, then yeah, I would agree that it seems like it is a lot of like leotards with some sort of flare at the bottom of it. But we'll see. We'll see what the future holds.
Now, I want to really briefly, we kind of touched this. I want to talk about Brooke and Evie. I think you and I agree that they should not have been there on the top. They should have been safe. Evie, that last look, the MILF look, was horrible, and so was the trampy trick-or-treater, the dinosaur. Like you, I'm like, why were they so charmed by that? It didn't satisfy the challenge. It felt
very much, like I said before, they know who they want in their top 6. And they had to just pour the love all over her, because she's going to be around for a while.
And then with Brooke, her trampy trick-or-treater was, I don't know what it was, but it was boring. And then I gave her high marks on her witch, but to me, her MILF outfit was another witch. So I gave her a 5.
No, I didn't get witch. I got kind of Victorian, Black Widow, Haunted Mansion, the Wailing Woman kind of thing. That maybe there was a witch there, but I got more like almost like a Morticia Addams, almost like a vampire type thing from her versus the witch. Oh, her first look was the Mummy, where she came out on point.
Oh, yeah, I was very whatever about that.
But I think that was because she was on point. That's what kind of sold that, was that she was up on her toes the whole time, versus if she just sort of came up. Because you even saw at one point, after she got to the back of the runway, she was flat on her feet and she just looked like a guy wrapped in toilet paper. at that point when she walked out.
All right.
She walked off the stage.
Have we exhausted talking about the looks?
I think we've exhausted talking about the looks.
All right. Well, that was the looks. All right. Let's move on to the main stage. Back on the main stage, Plastique, Evie and Brooke were in the top, while Silky, Suga, and Ariel were in the bottom. After the deliberations, Evie and Plastique were called safe, while Brooke was named the winner of the challenge. Later, Silky got a pass, leaving Sugar Cane and Ariel Versace in the bottom two. The time came for a lip-sync battle for their lives. The song... Wait, what was the song?
I'm Your Baby Tonight by Whitney Houston.
Your Baby Tonight by Whitney Houston. Ariel took a spill, the ultimate no-no on Drag Race, and for that, she had to pay the price, her voice. And she was asked to sashay away. Taylor, any final thoughts on the episode?
As soon as Ru said, previous to tonight, I've asked you both to prepare a lip sync to I'm Your Baby Tonight, I turned to my husband and said, Suga's got it.
Oh, really?
She's like, yeah, because that is one of those songs, and I equate this to, and this may be wrong of me, but I equate this to age. Suga is close in age to where she would have grown up listening to I'm Your Baby Tonight, whereas that song is actually older than Ariel.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there is Suga gives off a vibe of being kind of soulful and can get down in the funk of it, which I also get, we're talking about a Whitney Houston song, but I just feel like when you picture the two of them before it even starts in your mind, who could blow that song away? Suga was the first one to come to mind on that. The thing that I said, because my husband was like, no, you're wrong. I said, wait for the end when she has to do like the quick rap thing. And I will say Ariel, especially after falling, kind of held her own. Ariel had some great face work during the lip sync, but the energy off of that, even prior to the fall, was off. It was wrong. That's not a song for death drops or almost literally death drops, or doing kind of like the back arching your back sort of thing. That is a song that is a sashay side to side and occasionally throw your hands out and cock your neck a little bit. And Suga was definitely giving that. So I am glad to see. Suga is also somebody that when it's clear she really wants this, she really, really wants to do well for this. That when you talk about the fact that she's put her entire life into this, it's you feel for her. Like when she said Shantae, you stay, and she's kind of started to cry. You feel for her. I don't know. I'm genuinely liking Suga more and more as the season goes on, and I'm glad.
I think
that.
You like Sugar a little too much.
No.
And he pumps insulin into his arm. Okay. I disagree. I disagree with you.
Okay.
I disagree with you. I actually feel that if Ariel had not taken that spill, which is something that frustrates me about RuPaul's Drag Race, that she would have won the lip sync. I feel Ariel was bringing it. I actually do kind of feel like she didn't do necessarily straight up death drop. She did that thing where they just fall behind. I don't know if that's considered a death drop. And I felt they were appropriate. You're right. During that rap break, I think Ariel did have a really good facial movement. You know, someone wrote to me last night, I think it was Nami Harder, who, is that what? Nami Harder. I just got that. Anyway, listener Nami Harder wrote to us, and I don't know, out of nowhere, I don't know why he said this, that Suga just stayed in one place because she does New York clubs and they have very small stages. And so she's used to that. One, okay, well, adapt. Okay. Two is... That's
also not a song though where you run around on the stage. That is kind of a song where you sort of stay in one place or stay in a it's not Living in America last week where you have to run around and do death drops and jump around and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's all right. I think I'll say this. I think it was a lot closer than it should have been just because, but she fell, right? And I don't know if I think falling down is do you think falling down is an automatic out?
Not necessarily. No, but if it's as close as you are saying it, you think it was, or as a lot of people are saying it is, then she's going to, if it's where and I don't think we're to the point of splitting hairs, but if you're taking points off for movements because I felt like the rat part, that was going to be the part that made or broke either one of them. Because of that sort of is the cold-hearted snake section of Alyssa versus Coco, of where Coco said, I want her to see that I know all the words, and was pointing at her mouth. That's on a lesser degree. That's kind of the same idea. So I think had one of them really screwed that up, then whoever it was that screwed it up would have been the one to go home. At this point, maybe it was just where she was kind of looking at a general points, and they decided. Also, you have in the deliberation, Sugar kind of knew that it wasn't working, whereas Ariel kind of defended herself and said, well, I wanted to stay true to who I was, and I kind of felt like it was a witch, but where she got a little bit more defensive. So that could have played into it as well.
All right, very good. Now, I have a couple of little facts I just saw that I forgot to mention. One, I looked up this RuPaul doll. Do you know how much it's going to cost? What do you want to guess?
I would say at least $150.
Close, $145 for this fucking stupid doll.
Well, but that's what they do.
Uh-oh. Taylor's doing the laser death eyes.
Is everything okay? Okay.
Well, we're almost done. He can come down.
All right. Love you.
Uh-oh. Was that passive aggressive?
Everything's fine. His car is in the shop, and apparently they're coming to pick him up.
Uh-oh, passive aggressive. Oh, she's gonna get it later.
I'm gonna get it. Hopefully. I hope I get it later.
We're almost done. Calm down, Bob. Anyway, all right. The other thing I wanted to say is, did you feel that when Brooklyn Heights was doing her living doll thing and Tricky said something along the lines of, oh, look, it's Katya, that was sort of shit, because Brooke was kind of channeling, and Brooke has channeled Katya before, where she's like smoking the cigarette and spreading her legs. Did you feel that she was making fun of Katya? Was she throwing shade at Katya, or was she throwing shade at Brooke?
I think she was throwing shade at Brooke.
Okay.
I don't, somebody else I thought Nina should have won that challenge.
That one, I didn't know who should have won that challenge.
Okay, and I have one more thing I want to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Actually, two. Untucked. Did you watch the rest of Untucked, or did you just... Okay.
You told me not to. You said, Joe, don't watch it. I was like, oh.
I didn't say don't watch it. I gave you a recap of it. One.
I get private recaps from Taylor. He was like, welcome to the Untucked recap show with Taylor the Latte Boy. And it's a whole special show you guys don't get. That's the $5 level on Patreon. Go ahead.
He gets private recaps, recaps for money.
Yeah.
I talk about what he wants me to talk about.
Yeah.
Anybody under the age of 30 won't get that joke.
I don't get that joke.
Yes, you do. Shut up. You old bitch. They went into the whole thing about Nina's story again, about the bullying. And I don't understand why, because she almost talked about it, not verbatim, but she kind of told the whole story again. And I was thinking, because the difference is that she went into a thing talking about the trans, the things that are happening in the trans community. And also they talked a little bit about this current administration and all that kind of thing. And I almost wish that they had not talked about it last week and saved this for Untucked, because I feel like some of the resonance of the trans stuff kind of got lost, because you've already lost people when you're telling a story that we've already heard. So that made me a little like, I don't get why they're doing this, other than the fact that there isn't a lot for them to work with. So they kind of felt like they had to talk about it again. The second thing, Suga's fiance, super hot, super my type.
Where'd you see Suga's fiance?
They did the video. I
didn't see it.
They did the video, and it was Sugar's fiance, and he's super cute. That's all. I know something else. Okay,
go ahead.
Okay. In the moment, see, I almost wish that you did watch it, because from a psychological standpoint, this was interesting, and you might have to go back and get it. When Sugar and Ariel come back and they decide, they pretty much look at each other and go, we're it. We're going to be the ones lip syncing for our lives. The difference in preparation, it was clear that Ariel was going to go home, because Sugar immediately at one point says, I got to go back. I got to learn these words. I got to lip sync and everything. And she's trying to lip sync, and Ariel is coming in and Ariel is clearly dive bombing, where she is where she's talking about her feelings and she's talking about other stuff. And I don't know if that was I just need to express myself because I'm freaking out and I don't know how to stop talking about it, or I'm realizing this is the last chance I'm going to have to be on the show because there's a good chance I'm going home tonight, or if it is I am trying to play the game and trying to distract my potential competition from learning the words. So I'm going to just keep talking, because there were times where Sugar was doing the thing that I do at work sometimes with coworkers that won't shut up, where I'm going, yeah, wow, yeah, I know. And I'm trying to do something and they just keep talking. It was very interesting to watch. It felt, fuck you. It felt very much similar in some ways to the Nina versus Valentina, of where they purposely show in Untucked, they showed the two of them laying next to each other and Nina practicing and Valentina just looking up at the lights. Just an interesting thought. Okay, that went through my head. I think I really am done.
No, good recap. I like it because I didn't get to watch Untucked. I wanted to talk about Evie's laugh. I feel Evie, that's Evie's always time for a cocktail. That's Evie's work that puss. And she's always like, I know, people always talk about my laugh. And then just like works it in any way she can. If she could find a way to put on a t-shirt, she would. Go ahead. Well,
she a lot of times when they show her laughing, the laughs seem very dramatic and throwing your head back. But like, and I know, you even talked about that when you went to the finale where they kind of did this thing where they said, all right, everybody laugh, even though nothing was going on, and when they showed you and Evan at the one, you both kind of had a like a chuckle sort of thing. If Evie was sitting next to you, it would have been this like throwing her head back with her eyes. That felt very like when they've showed them when they're all standing in line, when Rue is explaining something or makes a joke with explaining what these challenges, it just feels forced. She's trying to make it a thing that everyone talks to her about her laugh. If I ever interview Evie Oddly, I'm going to never bring up her laugh. And she can do all the forced laughs she wants. I'm going to pretend like she's just a normal person. All right. One more thing. You brought up bio queens earlier. Don't you think it's weird that the two judges today, they're essentially bio queens? Elvira is a bio queen. And you could make the argument that Cara Delevingne is a bio queen. I mean, she's a supermodel.
You're a supermodel.
Thank you.
Put the bass in your walk. Dun, 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 dun. But at least Elvira is a bio queen, so go for having a bio queen on the show. Elvira's a drag queen.
And I think Elvira looks great. I mean, you've talked about that she's kind of well-preserved sort of thing, but when you've seen her up close. But I mean, as far as on my TV, I thought she looked amazing. She
looked fantastic on TV. You see up close and you're like, oh, you do look 70-something. She's 70-something.
Oh, I every minute of it, I'm sure. But I thought that she was fun. She gets it. She's campy. I have enjoyed the co-hosts, the guest judges this season. That is definitely something that I think is been a lot of fun to watch. Those that are on, we haven't gotten anybody that has a look on their face like, what the fuck am I doing here? Everybody seems to be like super excited to be a part of it.
All right. Very good. I agree with you, Taylor. And I actually think, for being a sort of like meh episode, I think this was a very good recap. I'm very proud of us, Taylor. Maybe I should have coffee before we do every single recap.
Oh, God, please no.
All right, well, that concludes this week's episode of RuPaul's Drag Race Recap. Be sure to join us next week and every week as we continue to discuss, dissect, and deconstruct each brand new episode of RuPaul's Drag Race. So for Taylor the Latte Boy and myself,
sashay away until next week.
Want to share your thoughts about Drag Race? Email us at dragracerecap@gmail.com. For up-to-the-minute news about the show, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Drag Race Recap. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Drag Race Recap. For bonus content and to support the show, head over to patreon.com/Drag Race Recap. Taylor has his own podcast. It's called Pod Is My Co-Pilot, and you can find it at podismycopilot.com or wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow Taylor on Twitter and Instagram at PIMCTaylor. Follow Joe Betance on Instagram and Twitter at Joe Betance. That's BETANCE. The outro music was written by Lucian Piani and arranged and performed by Alex Lefebvre. You can find Alex Lefebvre on Instagram at Alex Lefebvre Music. To find all of our old episodes, visit our website at dragracerecap.com. You can also find other Afterthought Media shows like Hello Uglies at hellouglies.com and Catching Up at catchinguppodcast.com. Drag Race Recap is an Afterthought Media production.
Say goodbye to your credit card rewards. Greedy corporate mega stores, led by Walmart and Target, are pushing for a law in Congress to take away your hard-earned cash back and travel points to line their pockets. The Durbin-Marshall credit card bill would enact harmful credit card routing mandates that would end credit card rewards as we know it. If you love your credit card rewards, tell your lawmakers, hands off my rewards. Tell them to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill.